Hey, what is up guys? My name is Oleg, this is Bond. Welcome back to the channel. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. I hope you like the content. If you do, please subscribe. So in this video, I'm going to do a review of one of Moduco watches. Moduco is a micro brand. They focus on Swiss-made, high-quality, kind of simplistic design timepieces. A big thank you to Jeremy and Jacob for sending me one of their watches for a review. Of course, as I do with all the watches that I review on this channel, I wear it on my wrist for 1 week straight. Put it through all kinds of different life situations. So here's the official review. Alright guys, so here's the Moduco Automatic. Moduco is an acronym, stands for Modern Urban Company. That's where the name came from. It's one of the micro brands started by two former college roommates. One is an American watch designer, the other one is a Swiss product manager. So the two decided to go into business, and this is, I believe, their very first watch that they produced. Now, I'm gonna do this review the way I do all my other reviews. So we're gonna go over specifications, dimensions, the accuracy, lume, and my general thoughts on the watch. And at the end of the video, I'll go over some negatives and my kind of final impressions. So let's get started with the dimensions. We have a diameter of 44 millimeters without the crown guards, and about 46, almost 47 with the crown and crown guards. A lug to lug width of 52 millimeters, a lug width of 22 millimeters, and the thickness of 12.5 millimeters. So just taking a closer look at the design of this watch, at the case, it's an all stainless steel case. We have kind of many contrasting finishes and contrasting design choices. So of course we have this round bezel with the round face, or the round dial. The shape of the watch is of course a bit rounded, but it does have a lot of sharp angles. This main portion and kind of majority of the case is sandblasted. We also have a brushed finish at the top of the bezel here, and on the sides of the bezel, and also at the bottom. And we have kind of a polished bevel all around the bezel, which gives it a nice contrast. So kind of a lot going on. At the same time, it's done in the most simplistic way possible, I guess. The design is very minimalistic, very simplistic, looks kind of modern, industrial. I would imagine somebody who wears a watch like this would also like to live in a loft. So the watch does have a sapphire crystal with the anti-reflective coating on the inside. The sapphire crystal is flat, which fits the overall style of this watch. At the back here, we do have a display case back displaying this beautiful movement, and I'll talk a little bit more about the movement in a minute or so. At the back here, the case back is screwed down with these screws, all done very well, and again, carries on the design, the industrial design of this watch. We have stainless steel case, Swiss made, sapphire crystal, 10 atmospheres, and 002 for this is the second prototype of this watch that they've made. So just to mention to you, this is not a watch that they would ship to their customers. This is their just review model. So the bracelet or the strap is kind of worn out a little bit, and it might have some scratches and things and stuff like that, just because it's not a brand new watch. It's a watch that they send out to all the cool YouTube reviewers like myself to review. So let's talk about the movement in this watch. The watch features a Swiss-made Sellita SW200 movement. SW200 Sellita is kind of a main competitor, or main Swiss-made competitor to ETA 2824. This movement here has 26 joules. It has 38 hours power reserve, and it features a tick of 28,800 beats per hour. So it's a very smooth, high beat movement, a little bit more affordable than ETA 2824. Now the accuracy of this movement I found to be very accurate. So this watch was running kind of combination on my wrist and just sitting on my desk, and I was getting about 3 seconds plus per day, which is pretty amazing. Now I'm not sure if this is just because this is a review model that they really regulate before they send out, but I'd like to believe that this kind of trend of very accurate movements would be present in all watches that Moduco cells. Taking a closer look at this dial, the dial is actually done really well. We have a matte black dial finished to a really high standard, and it's actually a sandwich dial. I'm not sure if the camera can pick that up, but basically what a sandwich dial is, it's two dials essentially stacked one on top of another. So we have a cream color dial at the bottom, and then we have this matte black dial with the holes cut out for the hour markings placed on top of it, which gives it a nice and layered look. We also have a raised 12-hour Roman numeral at the 12 o'clock hour position. Again, I'm not sure if the camera can pick that up well, but it's raised about 1 millimeter or 2 off of the dial, and it looks pretty cool. It gives the watch again a more layered look. We don't have a minute track, which is kind of a unique design choice. We also have what looks like a stainless steel seconds hand, and we also have these skeletonized hands for hours and minutes. We have a date window at 3 o'clock position. Now the date window, I like that they chose a black date window with white Arabic numerals. I think that looks really well. It blends in with the overall design of the watch, and it doesn't break up the symmetry of the dial. I really don't like when you have a black dial and you have a big white date window. It really breaks up the dial, and it doesn't look as nice because the dial now becomes a bit asymmetrical. So well done. Closer to the 12-hour marking, we have Moduco. Then we have automatic written on the dial, and at the bottom here it says Swiss made. So a very simplistic, minimalistic look to this watch. We also have a crown at 3 o'clock position. Now this crown is protected with the crown guards. It's not a screw down crown, so you can just pull it out, and here's the first position, and here's the second position. And as you can see, after I put it out to the second position, the seconds hand stopped ticking because the movement is of course hacking and hand winding. So let me go forward here, and that's what the date change looks like. So it just snaps into the place, and let me go to 6 o'clock and show you. So first of all, let me show you the hand winding. So this is what it sounds like. It sounds satisfying enough, and the grip on the crown is pretty good. Now let me pull out the crown to the first position and show you the date change. Again, fairly easy to operate. Standard stuff here, and push it back into place. So while we're on the subject of the crown, that kind of brings me to my very first negative. So the first negative is the fact that the crown is not signed. To some people that might not be a negative at all. Some people might not even notice that. To me, when I see a signed crown, it just shows that the company is taking a little bit more pride in going an extra mile to put their logo and sign every little part of the watch. Again, might not be a big negative for some people. To me, I found that a little bit odd. The other kind of negative, but it's a negative and not at the same time, is the fact that this watch that I have in my hands doesn't really have much lume. So let me pop a lume shot on the screen right now. As you can see, the lume is only on the hands. So if you go to the company's Indiegogo page, and that's how they primarily sell these watches at the moment, there is an option of $25 to upgrade the lume and have lume and all the hour markings. I would definitely go with that option. However, while we're on the subject of money and upgrades for the watch, let me tell you how much this watch costs. So this watch right here is $1,000 watch. However, at the moment they have their kind of pre-orders, so you can order this watch for $550, and for $550 you will also get an additional strap, or instead of getting an additional strap, you can request to have lume all over the dial. So that's the option at the moment. So that lume negative is a negative unless you, instead of going for a strap, go for the lumed hour markings. Just to mention, there's also a quartz version of this watch, and that costs $300. I think for $550, this one here is much better value for money, especially with that Swiss-made Sellita SW200 movement. All right, so what are my final thoughts and kind of the positives and the negatives for the watch? Well, let's start with the positives. So the positives is I really like this design. Initially, when I saw it on pictures and when I kind of just received it, I was not too sure about this design. However, over time, it really grew on me. I think this simplistic approach really works for this watch, and the contrast of different finishes and the different shapes really works for this watch. The other thing that I really like is how legible this watch is. So pretty much from every angle, you can really see what time it is. You can really see even the seconds hand ticking, which is a cool thing to have. You can always just at one glance at the watch know exactly what time it is. One of my big pet peeves is watches that are hard to read, watches that have overly busy dials. I know I have Seiko Flight Master, that's one exception, but watches that have too much going on sometimes are hard to read. Another thing that this watch has going for it is the fact that it's all Swiss made. Value for money wise, $550 for this type of watch is not too outrageous. Now let me quickly tell you about the strap. So the strap, of course you can see here it's kind of worn out a little bit because again this is a review version, but it is a very high quality strap. It has an easy change pins. It's a really well done strap. One negative with the strap is the fact that it's not really signed with Moduco logo. It's a tank buckle here, but the buckle is not signed. I'm not sure, maybe the models that you guys would be receiving if you choose to buy one of these watches would have the signed buckle, but this one here, the review model, does not have one of these buckles. But the overall kind of value for money and the package that you receive with this watch, in my opinion, it's worth the money at the $550 mark. At $1,000, I don't know, that might be pushing it just a little bit. Having this watch in your hand, it does feel solid, it does feel substantial, it feels heavy. However, when you put it on your wrist, it does feel really good. I had a few of my friends try it on. I had them put it on their wrist and they unanimously said, wow, it feels really good. It's just the proportions of it, the way the case is shaped, it really feels good on the wrist. And of course, I'll give you a wrist shot in a minute here or so. Now, the design, as I mentioned, to me, it was a positive, but to many people that might be a negative. And that's kind of one of the other negatives that I have for this watch. It's not really a negative, but it might be a negative for some people. This design, this simplistic look, this kind of industrial look of the watch is not for everyone, might not be for you. I had some friends that liked it and I had some friends that really didn't like it. So it's either you like it or you don't. I don't think there's many people that would be kind of indifferent to this design. And the other negative is the fact that the watch is fairly big. It's 44 millimeters. That's a bit big for some people. I wish they had a smaller option available, maybe 40, 42 millimeters. I think they would do much better with that version. 44, it's pushing it a little bit. I mean, you have to have a medium to large size wrist to pull off this watch. If you have anything under 6 inches in terms of diameter for your wrist, I think this watch would be a little bit too big for you. And even the buckle, I'm buckling on the second hole here. So if I had a bit of a smaller wrist, the watch would be too loose on my wrist. All right, and here's what the watch looks like on my 7¼ inch wrist. As you can see, it's a thin watch, and the way the case is designed, it does feel very flush and close to the wrist. The lugs don't stick out or protrude past my wrist, so it fits my wrist really well, and again, it feels really good on the wrist. The leather strap is done really well, and the case shape and design feels good. The weight, the quality, everything is there. All right, guys, so that was my review for Moduco Automatic. As you can see, I'm pretty excited about this watch. I think at $1,000, it's a little bit too much, but at $550 with that option of either upgrading the strap and having a second strap, or having an upgraded Lume, it makes it a pretty good value for money proposition. You have a Swiss-made, high quality case with the Sapphire crystal and a high quality, high beat movement. not a bad package if you ask me. If you're considering one of these watches, I will have a link for their Indiegogo page in the description of this video. I think that's how they primarily sell these watches. I appreciate you watching until the end. If you like the video, you know what to do: like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.